All right. Thank you so much for joining us today for Making the Most of Medicare, a workshop to help you prepare for fall open enrollment in 2022. The Aging and Long-Term Service Department Cabinet Secretary is Katrina Hotram Lopez, and I'm Kris Winterowd. I'm one of the SHIP coordinators for the state, and you will hear all about what that means in just a minute. I mentioned before the video started that I am a former teacher turned Medicare expert. Boy, if you told me 5 years ago that I would know this much about Medicare and care this much about Medicare, I would have said you were crazy. But it is so important to understand your benefit and to understand how it works so that you can make sure you're getting all the benefits that you're due. So that's what we're going to try to get you prepared for today. We're going to talk about the SHIP and SMP programs. We're going to briefly go over the parts of Medicare and kind of understand how Medicare works. We're going to talk about what Medicare beneficiaries can do during Medicare fall open enrollment. We're going to go over some fraud red flags. And I'm going to tell you about the Aging and Disability Resource Center's fall open enrollment hybrid Medicare counseling that's available to everyone in the state of New Mexico this year. On the bottom of most, if not all of the slides, you're going to see our website, www.nmaging.state.nm.us, and our 800 number. This number goes to the Aging and Disability Resource Center. It's 800-432-2080. The ADRC is the call center for the entire state of New Mexico, and it is the best way to reach people, myself included, especially since I am going to be providing you with my direct contact information, but once fall open enrollment starts, whether I'll get around to returning calls is a big if. So it's best to reach out to the ADRC and they'll get a message to me if it's something urgent. Okay, we're going to talk about the New Mexico SHIP program. I'm one of the SHIP coordinators for the state. It stands for State Health Insurance Assistance Program. We're a federal state partnership and we're contracted by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid to provide people in New Mexico with free, unbiased, expert information and assistance on Medicare, Medicaid. We do counseling, we do education, we do outreach like this workshop today. And this is important not just for Medicare beneficiaries, but also for their family members who are maybe taking a larger role in, making sure people are cared for, and any caregivers, understanding how the person's benefit works is really going to help you make sure that they're getting what they need and what they're entitled to. Yeah, I am sure you've all been seeing, I was talking to somebody on the phone yesterday and I could hear one of those Medicare commercials in the background. My husband calls this season, it's not fall or autumn, it's yelling at the TV season, because every time those commercials come on, I can't help myself. So a lot of times I talk to people who've been like, well, I saw something on TV or this commercial said, and my advice is always, please don't call the number on the TV. Call us, 800-432-2080. The number on the TV, whatever it is, they're trying to sell you something. We in the SHIP program are not selling anything. I'm not in the insurance business. I'm in the making sure you understand your benefits and have what you need business. Okay, our sister program is called the Senior Medicare Patrol. This is the part of our department that helps prevent, detect, and report healthcare fraud, scams, and abuse. So this program is also a federal state partnership contracted with the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid to provide counseling, advocacy, education, and outreach. Again, often people may have been approached for something related to their Medicare, or asked for information when they're trying to get information about Medicare, and you want to be really careful about that. We're going to talk more about that later in the presentation. And here I just want to give you, I never pass up a chance to show people our website. So I'm going to actually stop sharing the slide presentation today, and we're going to take our first field trip into the actual Aging and Long-Term Service Department website. So bear with me for just a sec while I stop sharing this screen and start sharing a different one. And we should be able to kind of click through, and let me show you how this works a little bit. Okay, Bobby or Brian, can you just let me know that you're seeing the Aging and Long-Term Services Department screen now?
Yeah, I can see it. Yes.
Okay, perfect. And if it's not moving when I'm talking, like it should be moving, let me know, okay? All right, so our website has a ton of information and resources for you on it. You can see that this is the place you can actually register here for or make an appointment to register for the home and community-based waiver. That's a Medicaid program that pays for in-home caregiving. The only way to get that benefit is to go through our office, and this is a great way to get an appointment to get started with that. You can also make an Adult Protective Services report directly from our website. You know, I'm a big proponent of Adult Protective Services. People are often afraid when they hear the term because they equate it with Child Protective Services. And I just want to take this opportunity to reassure you that Adult Protective Services doesn't remove people from their homes. And in fact, a lot of the people that I talk to are frustrated because Adult Protective Services hasn't done more when they think they should have. Because since we are dealing with adults, if the adult has the capacity to make their own decision, then they get to do that even if we think it's wrong. So if you feel like someone is being abused, neglected, or exploited, this is the place to start. Often people actually report themselves for self-neglect if they're in the place where they can no longer care for themselves adequately and they don't have any support. This is a great place to turn to get that support if you don't have it from your family or community. You can find out information about our future plans in terms of capital outlay. There's also a fabulous reverse mortgage education tool that we offer seniors in New Mexico. Often people avoid even looking into reverse mortgages because it just seems a little sketchy. All those commercials, again, just have eroded people's confidence in this loan product. This is a free, it's an app that is here entirely for education purposes. If you're thinking, I wonder if this would be something that would help me, but I don't want to talk to somebody who's going to give me any sales pressure. This is a great place to look because there is no sales pressure. This is just you playing around to learn about what it would be like to have a reverse mortgage. You can see there's a ton of other stuff here. There are two important things that I want to direct you to here. One is at the very, very bottom. If you go down and just above the C in the ACL logo is the YouTube button. It looks like a little play button on a VCR. You see this rectangle with a triangle in the middle. And if we click on that, it takes us directly to the Aging and Long-Term Services Department YouTube channel. And if you go here, you can see all of our latest videos. That's where this workshop is going to be by this afternoon. And it'll show up right here. You can see the Medicare 101 workshop that I did in September. There's some information about volunteering through the Aging and Long-Term Services Department. Here's another, if you're interested in what I was saying about Adult Protective Services, you can find out more here. This is our Deputy Director of that program. And it's just a great resource to come check out if you have questions about Medicare and you don't want to have to deal with any pressure. Okay, and now I just clicked back to the website, and I'm going to go back up to the top, scroll past all of this other information. And I'm assuming that you already found this because you're here. But if you want to see what's going on and find out about more workshops, you would go up here under News and Events, Upcoming Events, click on that, and it'll take you right here. You open this, and the link to get into the workshop is right there. Our next workshop will be, this is our last workshop until January. During Medicare Open Enrollment, that is pretty much all we do, so we won't have any more until January. So you might want to check back in January and see what we have going on. Okay, that is it for our first little field trip. I'm going to go back into our regularly scheduled programming here. Okay, so you can see that, you know, the organization of the tiles on our website has changed because it is being updated regularly. Before, whoops, I don't think I started sharing that. So before we go into the next section of the workshop, does anybody have any general questions about the Aging and Long-Term Service Department or the Aging and Disability Resource Center?
No, I don't.
Okay, well then I'm doing good so far, Brian, at answering all of the questions that you didn't even know you had.
That's true.
All right, so we're going to go into just a quick review of Medicare and the parts of Medicare. There are basically two ways to get your Medicare. You can opt for what we call original Medicare, which is Part A hospital coverage, Part B doctor coverage, and a Part D prescription drug plan. You may choose or not choose to add a Medigap or Medicare supplement to that. That combination is called original Medicare. If you have this type of coverage, you're getting your Part A hospital coverage and Part B doctor coverage directly from Medicare. You're not going through a third party. What's great about this is you can go to any doctor you want in the country that accepts Medicare. During Medicare Open Enrollment, the only part you'd be looking to potentially change is your Part D prescription drug plan. The other option is to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan. If you join a Medicare Advantage plan, it's also known as Part C, you've bundled together your Part A hospital coverage, you still have Part A, your Part B doctor coverage, and a Part D prescription drug plan into an HMO or a PPO that you're purchasing through a third party insurance company. And there's a gazillion of them. It depends, what's available depends on where you are in the state. It's important to know that you still have Medicare if you opt for this type of coverage. You still have Part A, you still have Part B, you still have to pay that Part B premium. But instead of getting your coverage directly from Medicare, you're going through that third-party insurance company. The Medicare Advantage plans can offer a variety of additional services that aren't available through original Medicare. They advertise like crazy. I'm sure you're already, you know, with any luck by the end of this workshop, you'll be yelling at your TV too, just like I do. They offer a lot. I mean, they advertise heavily on vision, dental, and hearing coverage because those are not included in original Medicare. So many people who feel like that coverage is just essential to them, this is their choice. Before we move on to, well, let me give you the quick Medicare update for 2023. This just came out a week or two ago, that the Medicare Part B premium is going down in 2023 to $164.90. The Part B deductible is also going down to $226. Now, if you have a Medicare Advantage plan, you do still have to pay the Part B premium, but your plan may or may not have a deductible. It varies from plan to plan. The maximum deductible that a plan can charge is at $226, but some plans have no deductible. The other big news for 2023 is this insulin copay cap. If you're diabetic, this is a huge deal. And really this year, it's always important to review your coverage from year to year, but this year it is particularly important for people with diabetes because the Inflation Reduction Act, which passed in August, included this insulin copay cap where insulin drugs are capped at $35 a month. Now, the drug has to be on your plan's formulary. This is the little loophole that's there that you need to be aware of and careful about. Because if you take an insulin drug, but it's not on your plan's formulary, you're not going to get that $35 cap. So this year during open enrollment, it's super important to check and make sure that the drugs that you take are on the formulary of the plan that you're enrolled in. For example, if you take Januvia, right, and it's on your plan's formulary, then your copay will be a maximum of $35 a month. It may be less than that if your plan covers it and your copay is less than that, but that's the most you'd have to pay. However, if Januvia is not on your plan's formulary, then you're not going to get that $35 cap. Okay, so it's just super important, particularly for people with diabetes, this year especially, to check and make sure that your plan is going to cover you the way you expect it to. All right, before we move on, any questions about sort of the general Medicare picture?
I'm good.
Okay. All right, we can always go back. All right, we're going to take another little field trip here onto the Medicare.gov website. If you haven't been here yet, it is, it's a pretty darn good website and it's got a lot of really great information. So I'm going to stop sharing this and start sharing Medicare.gov. Did not switch this over yet. Let me. All right, when you go to Medicare.gov, you should see, do you see the gentleman with the mustache and the cell phone?
Yes.
All right, good. All right, so this is what you're going to see when you go to the Medicare.gov website. They are set up just like we are to handle everybody who needs to look into their options for 2023. They encourage people to create a My Medicare account. And, it's as safe as anybody can make anything on the internet. Right? So I'm not going to tell you it's 100% safe, but I do think it's a very good thing. And it is a huge time saver when you're doing a plan search. If you have an account, it makes it very easy to get in, see what your current situation is, explore what your options are, and enroll in a new plan if you decide that's what you want to do. So you can log in from here. It is not necessary. I'm going to just put in the Santa Fe website, zip code, since that's where I am. I am gonna let's say we're looking at Medicare Advantage plans. And you can go in without logging in, you can get right in and take a look at what's available to you. And we do a lot of plan searches this way. If you have any additional help from Medicaid, such as the Medicare Savings Program, this is a program for low-income Medicare beneficiaries that helps pay that $164.90 a month, that Medicare Part B premium. Extra Help is a program from Social Security, again, for low-income people. The income limits are higher than for the Medicare Savings Program. So you may qualify for this one, even if you don't qualify for the Extra Help with premiums. The Extra Help keeps your prescription drug costs and premiums low. If you're not sure if you have either of the, if you are interested in either of those benefits, we will be super happy to help you apply. For today, I'm just going to put I'm not sure. We're going to continue without logging in. You always want to look at drug costs when you compare plans, because one of the most important things your plan does for you is, help cover your medications. So I'm going to just put in here a few common medications. I'm going to put in lisinopril, which is a common blood pressure medication. I'm going to add it to the drug list. I'm going to put in Januvia, since we were just talking about it. And I'm just going through this so you can see how easy it is to check these things for yourself. And let's see. Let's put in an inhaler, just for grins. And this one pops up. A generic is available. So I'm going to add the generic. And I'm just sticking with the default dosages here. Now, the next thing it asks you to do is put in pharmacies. I always there's 5 slots for pharmacies. I always fill them all. You're not committing to getting your drugs at any particular pharmacy when you do this. What you're doing is comparing costs. The cost for your medication can vary dramatically depending on where you pick them up, because of the relationship the plan you're looking at has with different pharmacies, whether it's an in-network, a preferred in-network, or an out-of-network pharmacy. Makes a huge difference for your costs. And I don't look at the road. I don't care what road it's on. The contract is with the pharmacy, not the location. So I'm going to pick Walgreens. I always ask people where they get their groceries, because sometimes the grocery store pharmacies have great prices. So I've got 5 pharmacies in here. You can see them across the bottom. And then I am going to click done over here. And it's going to show me my options. Just walking you through this so that you can do it because this is public facing. You can do this on your own if you want. You don't have to get assistance from anyone. So I know, let's say you can sort this out. There are different types of Medicare Advantage plans, as I told you. Most of them are either HMOs or PPOs, but we have some private fee-for-service plans and a couple of I think there's just one Medicare savings account. Health maintenance organizations tend to have smaller networks. PPOs or preferred provider organizations tend to have more extensive networks. So I like to have more choice. I'm going to say, just show me PPOs, and you can sort it that way. So you're only looking at a certain type of plan. I'm going to apply that. Wait for it to catch up with me. And now I know I'm only interested in looking at plans that have dental, vision, and hearing coverage. You can also search for plans that have a transportation benefit. And I have talked to people who are just adamant that they need their silver sneakers. So if silver sneakers is a deal breaker for you, definitely check the fitness benefits box. And let's apply that. And when I do a plan search, I always make sure it's going to include drug coverage, because I don't even want to waste my time looking at plans that don't. All right. So now that we've done all that, we've gone down to 20 possible plans in the area. One quick thing I'm going to show you, we're not going to spend a whole ton of time on this, but ooh, we've got an expensive drug in our list. I predict it's the Advair. The first plan that comes up is the Cigna True Choice PPO. It has a 0 premium for health and drug coverage. You still have to pay that $164.90 Part B premium, but for the plan itself, there's no additional premium. Okay? This one has no deductible for health or drugs. Shows the in and out of network maximum out of pocket costs. And over here, we've got a nice green check mark next to vision, dental, and hearing. So it looks like we have those benefits. I'm going to show you how to check and make sure you know exactly what you're getting, because this can be a little bit misleading sometimes. The primary doctor visit has a 0 copay. The specialist has a $30 copay. So I'm thinking this looks like I might be interested. I'm going to click on the blue plan details button. And when you do that, you get a lot more information. You never want to enroll in a plan just looking at that initial page. You always want to look at the full plan details. So this is an overview of what we've already seen on that first page with a 0 premium, 0 deductibles. Okay, primary doctor has a 0 copay in network and out of network. Specialist visit is a $30 copay in network, $60 copay out of network, right? And it shows you the costs you can expect for your diagnostic tests and procedures, labs, all that good stuff. I'm going to scroll down and I want to show you, anytime you come across one of these blue bars with a plus on it, you can click on it and it shows you more. This shows how therapy and psychiatrist visits are covered, opioid treatments, durable medical equipment, wheelchairs and oxygen, other things like that. Okay. Now it comes down, we're looking at the drug coverage. We can see that Del Norte is in network, but Albertsons, Smith's, Walgreens, and mail order are all preferred. So I would expect to see lower costs at those preferred pharmacies, and that's what we see. And just, oops, oh, look at the Januvia appears to not be on the formulary for this plan, right? So this is why it is really important to take a look, because look how expensive this is, right? That is what's causing us to have those high costs. And so this is remember what I was telling you in the beginning, there's that $35 cap, but the drug has to be on the formulary. So this is one reason why getting assistance from a ship counselor might be a good idea if you have diabetes. We can walk you through what's going on here and what to do. All right, so in the next thing in the list is a month-by-month breakdown of the co-pays you can expect. Okay, depending on where you pick up your medications. And on this, it really looks like your cheapest place to get your medications would be Albertsons, right? Which is why I throw all those pharmacies in there. I wouldn't necessarily expect that. Maybe I've always gotten my drugs at Walgreens, but if I can save, it's only $50 a year, but it's $50 a year by going to Albertsons instead, and that's where I shop anyway, why not? Okay, you can, if you want to learn more about the costs, you can click on this and it will show you exactly what you'll pay at each of the coverage phases of your drug policy throughout the year. And remember I said we need to always look at the plan details for the dental, vision, and hearing because it's not always exactly what it appears. So looking here at the extra benefits, I can see that Hearing exams are covered with a $30 copay on this plan. Fitting evaluations have a zero copay, and hearing aids have a zero copay. So this plan covers hearing really well. And preventive dental, your cleanings, fluoride, x-rays is all covered. And actually, all of the comprehensive dental is covered with a zero copay also. There are always limits on these plans. So if you have a lot of dental work that needs to be done, you're going to want to check and make sure. You can click on the limits apply button over here, and it will tell you that there's advanced plan approval required for some things, and there may be limits on how much the plan will provide. I've talked to people who've said, well, I'm getting half my dental work done in December and the other half in January so I can meet my plans, get around my plans limits, and still get the work I need done in a timely manner. And then the same for vision. This last button down here shows how some other benefits are covered. This plan does not include any chiropractic, acupuncture, or massage, but it does have some support for caregivers, which is an interesting new benefit that some Medicare Advantage plans are including. Has a fitness benefit, has transportation services, it has an over-the-counter drug benefit. It has meals for short duration. This would be like Meals on Wheels if you had a health event that prevented you from, doing your own cooking. So if you're gonna, before you enroll in a plan, you really wanna look at all the plan details, including the star rating. This plan has a 3-star rating. Okay, so I'm scrolling back up to the top, all the way up. I'm gonna go back to the search results. Go ahead.
Who gives the star ratings and what necessarily do they mean?
So the star ratings are collected by Medicare. They do surveys, they do beneficiary surveys every year.
Okay.
And it's a way for people who have the plan to say how satisfied they are
Kind of
with
a
it.
feedback thing then.
Exactly. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, and there is, interestingly, there is a special enrollment period in December where people can change into a 5-star plan. That's what the enrollment period is for. If you want a 5-star plan, you can change into it. I have not seen very many 5-star plans in New Mexico. It's, it's not, we can actually sort the plans. I think we can by the star, by star ratings. Okay, so over here we can sort by 5 stars. I'm curious now. Let's see how many 5-star plans there are in New Mexico. None. There are no 5-star plans available in Santa Fe. So,
well, that's helpful.
Well, it's kind of depressing, but at least we know, right? All right, so that's kind of a brief run through of, if you're going to do a plan search on your own, kind of what to do, what to look for, what to watch out for. So I am going to go back here to the Medicare.gov starting page, okay? And there's a lot of information available here. What I want to show you is under basics. I love this Get Started with Medicare information. So I'm going to go up. I went up to basics and I clicked on Get Started with Medicare. It goes over in more detail. If you want to learn more about the different parts of Medicare and how they work, you can go right here to the website and you can look at the information in a different way than I've presented it today. It tells you if you've got somebody who in your life who's maybe going to be starting on Medicare and they're like, how do I find out what I'm supposed to do? Send them to Medicare.gov, Get Started with Medicare. It tells you how to sign up, when to sign up, when your coverage is going to start. You can find out more information about what your coverage options are, how to join a plan. And this is my favorite, the Using Medicare, because it has some really handy services. I find a lot of times people may have had Medicare for years, but never really explored all that it offers, right? So I love the 5 tips for using Medicare in particular and the helpful tools. So let's click into this for just a second, then we'll go back to our regularly scheduled programs. It gives you information on how to review your coverage option and find plans, which is what we're talking about today, how to get help with your drug costs, how to find services providers, medical equipment, and suppliers. So if you want to know more about Medicare and how to use it, how to make it work for you, this is a great resource. Okay. I am going to stop sharing that and go back to sharing this. All right. So any questions about, how to look up that information on your Medicare options before we move on to the next slide?
No, that's helpful. We can go to that website.
Okay. All right. So what can you do during open enrollment? People talk. I'll be out at an event and I have my Medicare Open Enrollment guide handy, and people will look at it and go, "Oh, I don't need that. I already have Medicare." And I'd say, "Good," because the one thing you can't do during Medicare Open Enrollment is enroll in Medicare. Medicare Open Enrollment is for Medicare beneficiaries who already have Medicare. And to prepare for this, you need to carefully review your current plan. I talk to people way too often who don't really know what they have. So this is a really good chance to figure that out. What do I have for Medicare? And is it working for me? Everyone is going to get an annual notice of change document or an evidence of coverage document. You've probably already received it. They usually come sometime from the beginning of September until the end of October. You should have received your annual notice of change. And that document is going to tell you what's happening with your current plan for the upcoming year. If there are changes to its formulary, if they are changing any copays or deductibles, if anything at all is changing that's going to affect your costs, it should be in that annual notice of change. Sometimes they change networks. It's really important to take a look at that. It's also important to really think about how your health has changed in the last year and what nobody has a crystal ball, but what you expect for the coming year. Because sometimes a plan will go along working for you just fine until something about your health or living situation changes. And then that plan doesn't meet all your needs the way it used to. Open enrollment is a chance to really assess that and see if there's something else that's going to work better for you. This is the time to explore plans using the Plan Finder, like I just gave you a little walkthrough on Medicare.gov. And our office, I switch over to spending pretty much 100% of my time helping people with their Medicare options and enrollment during Medicare Open Enrollment. So we are all hands on deck to help people here in New Mexico with that. Does anybody have any question about, how to prepare for open enrollment before we move on? Okay. So during open enrollment, here's what you can do. You cannot enroll in Medicare. You have to already have it. But if you do have it, you can change from original Medicare to a Medicare Advantage plan. You can change from an Advantage plan back to original Medicare. You can switch from one Advantage plan to a different one, or you can switch from an Advantage plan that doesn't offer drug coverage to one that does, or vice versa, which is the next bullet here. You can join a Medicare prescription drug plan if you haven't had one. Sometimes I talk with people who didn't get a Medicare prescription drug plan, either because they didn't take any drugs and so they thought they didn't need it, not realizing that by doing that, they're exposing themselves to penalties, or because they've had access to getting their prescriptions a different way through the VA, through the Indian Health Services. But then they've decided that they do want the Medicare prescription drug plan after all. Okay, so sometimes people don't have one and decide to enroll in one. You can switch from one prescription drug plan to a different one. And you can actually, on sort of the inverse of the situation I was just describing, you can drop your Medicare prescription drug plan if you choose to do that. I always encourage people to speak with one of our SHIP counselors before they decide to eliminate a type of coverage, because it's a big decision and it can have lasting implications in terms of exposing you to penalties. If you incur penalties by not having prescription drug coverage, those penalties last forever. So please, before you make a decision to not continue your drug coverage, give us a call so that we can talk you through and make sure you understand the implications of that choice. Any questions here before we go on?
If you have prescription drug coverage through the VA, like I do, what is the advantage then to signing up for a prescription drug plan?
There's a couple of things. So first of all, if you get your drugs through the VA or Indian Health Services, that is considered creditable coverage by Medicare, and you are not going to be exposed to penalties. Okay, so you'll have to provide proof that that's where you've gotten your medications, but if you do that, you're not going to have any penalties. The benefits to you and to the VA are actually big. If you join a prescription drug plan or a plan that includes a prescription drug plan, the VA can actually charge Medicare so that it preserves the resources in that system. For example, if you have a Medicare Advantage plan and it includes prescription drugs, you can still go to the VA, you can still get your health care there, you can still get your drugs there, but you show them their card, they charge Medicare, and they have more resources available in the VA system because of that, right? The other thing is, if there's a drug that the VA doesn't cover, which happens sometimes, or if it's more convenient for you to get your drugs someplace else, or you're traveling, you're someplace else and you need to pick up your drugs and you can't get to a VA clinic, it just gives you that convenience.
Okay.
All right, any other questions before we move on? Okay. So we've already gone through the plan finder. You can see that they've updated their screen and they've changed their person since I dropped this screenshot in. But again, on the current screen, finding health and drug plans is front and center. If you want to go in here, it's very easy to look. You'll put in all the info. You can get in either by creating an account. If you create an account, all of your drugs will already be there. Your current plan will already be there. So it's very, very easy to get in there and compare. If you go in through the anonymous portal by just providing your zip code, you'll have to put in the prescription drugs yourself. You'll have to look for your current plan if you want to compare it to the other options you're looking at. But it's perfectly, it's perfectly convenient to do that as well. You do not have to create an account. You can if you choose. Okay. One of the things that I like to do with people when I'm doing this Medicare counseling is do a side-by-side comparison. And I always drop the person's, this is the an example of a side-by-side comparison of prescription drug plans. I always start with whatever their current plan is. You always want to, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's good to take a look, but sometimes your current plan stacks up pretty well, right? So I always put the current plan in first, and it's going to show whatever the monthly premium is. You can see that prescription drug plans have a pretty reasonable monthly premium, generally speaking. And then it'll show the deductibles, and kind of a summary, a summary of what you can expect for your costs, right? How many of your drugs are covered, and what you can expect in terms of yearly costs for premium and co-pays for your medications that you're taking right now. So it's really kind of nice to be able to see it side by side. That's one thing that you can do. Now, if you are thinking about changing, what are some of the questions you should ask yourself? The first question that, I always work with people on is, are your providers in network? With a prescription drug plan, we saw in the example that we went through just a little bit ago that where you pick up your drugs can make a big difference depending on whether the pharmacy is in network or preferred. So and I've talked to people who they love their pharmacy. They've been going there for years. They know the pharmacist. They put their kids through college, right? They don't want to change. So, and that's okay. It's really important to look and see if that preferred provider is in network. Also, if you're going into a Medicare Advantage plan, you really want to make sure that any doctors or clinics or providers that you want to continue to see are in network for this plan. In January, from January to March every year, there's a special enrollment period for Medicare Advantage plans only. And this is for those buyer's remorse situations where somebody signed up for a plan and maybe they didn't get all of the information that they needed for that Advantage plan. They talked to somebody who didn't, warn them to make sure that their providers are in network. And they go in January, they try to go to their doctor and their doctor says, sorry, we don't take your plan. It happens every year. I work with people who are like, what? I can't go see my doctor? What are you talking about? Right? So if you do miss this step and get into a plan, and your provider is not in network, I want you to know that there is that special enrollment period from January to March where you can change Advantage plans. You can change Advantage plans or you can change back to original Medicare. If you have original Medicare, you can't start on an Advantage plan at that point. This is just for people who enrolled in an Advantage plan and changed their mind for whatever reason, okay? So it is super important to make sure that your providers are in network if you're moving to a different plan. How does the plan cover your drugs? Are your drugs on the formulary? Is your pharmacy on the preferred list? Does the plan have all of the additional benefits that you're looking for? And how will changing plans affect your bottom line? Right? Most people want to pay less, not more, for their health care. And with the plan finder, you can really go through and get a pretty good idea of what your costs are likely to be for each plan. There should not be any mystery. There should not be any surprises. Okay, before we move on to Medicare scams and fraud, red flags, does anybody have any questions about what you can do during Medicare Open Enrollment and what to watch out for?
No, I think you've answered my questions. I need to go, but thank you so much for all you've done. I
You
really appreciate it.
You're welcome, Brian. And if you decide you want to catch the last 15 minutes or 20 minutes later, you go look to our YouTube channel. You know how to find it.
I'll do that. Thank you.
All right.
God
Have a
bless
good
you.
day.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Hi, this is Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
And I have my friend with me, Jay, and we're watching this presentation together. I have a question on the special enrollment for Advantage plans only. If you switch back over to original Medicare, are you still able to enroll in supplemental plans and Part D?
Okay, so let me see if I have I'm going to walk through a scenario, okay? And you tell me if it's what you're thinking. If you have a Medicare Advantage plan right now, and during Medicare Open Enrollment, you decide to switch to original Medicare, you do that by joining a prescription drug plan. That's what switches you over from Advantage coverage to original coverage, okay? Now, supplements and Medigap policies are not included in Medicare Open Enrollment. The only types of plans that you have an open enrollment for are drug plans and Advantage plans. The question of whether you can get a supplement is a complicated one, because they're not considered part of your basic building blocks of Medicare the way A, B, C, and D are, right? When you first start Medicare, you get what's called a right of guaranteed issue period for Medicare supplements. It lasts for 6 months. During that initial right of guaranteed issue period, you can join any plan you want. They cannot require a health screening. They cannot decline you based on pre-existing conditions. If you try to enroll in a supplement or a Medigap policy outside of a right of guaranteed issue period, they can require those things and they can decline you based on pre-existing conditions, or they can charge you more based on your health and your age. So it's really kind of a case-by-case situation, what you're going to be able to find in terms of a supplement or a Medigap policy if you don't have a right of guaranteed issue period. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it does, actually. I wasn't thinking in terms of the right of issue issues. So thank you.
It's a big one. When I do the Medicare 101 for people who are just starting on Medicare, I mean, this is really one of the most important decisions that you can make. It's going to impact your costs, but it's also going to impact how you access your healthcare through Medicare, like forever. So it's not that it's impossible to get a Medigap policy later. It's likely to be more expensive, and depending on your health conditions, it can actually be very difficult.
Thank you.
Yeah, certainly if you have a supplement or a Medigap policy, I would only recommend, well, I don't recommend things, but I would encourage people to be very careful about giving up that coverage, because it can be impossible to get it back. It's not easy to switch back and forth on that one. Okay, so as I mentioned, we're in yelling at the TV season because even if it's not a scam or fraud, so much of the advertising that's out there is very misleading. Okay, so if you want to actually sign up for scam alerts on our website, which I showed you at the beginning of today's workshop, you can sign up to get text or emails about the sort of ongoing scams. That's a service that we're providing people. You can find out what to watch out for, what the current big red flags are in terms of scams and fraud. So during open enrollment, the pressure and the advertising and it just ramps up to 11. So what can plans do? Well, they can send you emails and direct mail. Sorry, all that junk mail is not going away. I talked to a lady one year who she was just so overwhelmed. She was in tears. She was immobilized by just the volume of junk mail that she was getting. She could not process it. And so, my first thought was, well, just throw it all away. And she couldn't do that. Right. She felt like she had FOMO, as the kids say these days, fear of missing out. Right. So she couldn't throw it away. So I'm like, okay, get a big box, put it all in a big box, right? Close it up, stick it under the table so you don't have to see it, but you haven't thrown it away. It's still there. And, talk with one of our ship counselors. We'll go through some options. We'll help narrow it down for you. Right. And then once you've got a manageable amount of information to process, then you can decide if you're just going to start a fire with all that junk mail in the box, or if you're going to look through it again. Let's see how it compares to the information we've given you. But please don't allow yourself to be immobilized by that. That's one of the reasons that we're here. Like I said, we're contracted by CMS. By the time open enrollment starts, I'll have been through 5 separate trainings to help people with this. So, and I'll have given 5 trainings to help our staff and to help people like you be able to sort through all of the complicated navigation that we have to go through. Okay, so they are allowed to send you that stuff, but you're not required to look at it. They are not allowed to call you or visit you in person to market their products unless you've given them specific permission. You need to be careful if you're at any kind of event and there's a insurance company representative there. You got to be careful about what you sign, right? Make sure you know what it is. Even if you think it's just a sign-in sheet, make sure you really, because you may inadvertently be exposing yourself to solicitation. Plans who send emails must provide an opt-out option. Okay. I know sometimes when I see those opt-outs, I hesitate to do that because sometimes scammers make it look like an opt-out when really they're going to get more of your information that way. So if you are getting emails from a plan, know that they actually have to provide you with an opt-out. Now, here's when to walk away. Like Kenny Rogers says, know when to walk away, know when to run. So if anybody pressures you to join their plan, you should just step away. If anyone ever tells you that they represent Medicare, walk away. Or if they think they're gonna, they make it sound like it's the greatest thing since sliced bread and you're gonna get something for free, right? You get it for free if you talk to them. That is definitely, those are luring techniques and you want to step away from that. Somebody claims that you're going to be missing out on something if you don't join their plan. I mean, they may have some wonderful benefits that you're interested in, but if they're trying to pressure you by telling out that you're missing out on something, that's not a reputable way to do business, and you want to walk away from them. If they offer health screenings or other activities that may be used for cherry picking people, plans want to get the best, healthiest beneficiaries because they make the most money that way. So that's not a reputable way either. It's not an ethical way to attract people to your plan. They are not allowed to require contact information at an event for a plan. They can, if they're doing a raffle, they can ask for a way to contact you about the raffle, but then they're only able to contact you about the raffle prize, right? They are not allowed to talk to you about their plan if they collect your contact information that way. And of course, anyone who tells you that you're going to lose your Medicare or lose benefits unless you sign up for a certain plan is somebody that you don't want to do business with. If you have any questions and you want unbiased information, you can always call us, 800-432-2080. And I will tell you about how to get our assistance in just a minute. I also want to point out that on our website, I don't think I mentioned it when we were taking our little field trip, we have live web chat available during business hours. A screen will pop up, you know, a little speech bubble will pop up, and we have a live web chat agent available from 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. It's a great way to contact us. Sometimes the hold can be long. If you call us, and if you get frustrated with that or impatient, the web chat is a great way to go because it's immediate, and it can also, you know, they can either direct you to into an appointment, or they can get you a call back. Okay. So our agency is doing hybrid open enrollment counseling this year. One of the big parts of our contract with the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid is to provide this free, unbiased, expert information and assistance to Medicare beneficiaries during open enrollment. For the past 2 years, because of COVID, it has been entirely by telephone. This year, we're doing 60% in person. Now, we have been directed by the governor and our cabinet secretary to concentrate our in-person events in rural and frontier areas. So if you're in, you know, Santa Fe, Albuquerque, one of the metropolitan areas in the state, there may or may not be in-person counseling available. You can call us at 800-432-2080 to find out where your closest in-person event is. I'm going to be doing 3 days a week throughout open enrollment out in the community doing in-person counseling, and then the rest will be by telephone. That's the way all of our SHIP counselors are this year. So, yeah.
Do you know if you or another counselor is going to be up in our neck of the woods?
I sure am. And I just happen to have my calendar right here. I'm going to be in Clayton on Thursday, November 3rd. I'm going to be in Des Moines on Wednesday, November 2nd. And if you want to take a little drive, there's going to be somebody in Springer. It's not going to be me on the 18th. And then I will be in Mosquero at the health fair on the 20th of October. And then in Roy at the Senior Center on the 21st of October. So
where will you be meeting here in Clayton?
I'm going to be right where you are right now. I'm going to be at our ALTSD satellite office there at the county office building.
All day, like 8 to 5?
Let's see, I doubt it's 8 to 5. I think it's more like 9 to 3.
Okay. Great.
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to show you in a sec. We have developed a beneficiary planning tool, and we call it the Open Enrollment Guide. I think, Bobby, do you have some there? Did I mail some? I can't remember where I mailed them. Let me know if you want me to mail you some.
I have some.
Okay, good.
Yes.
If you want one of those and you're not someplace that already has them, you can call us and we'll mail one out to you. You can just request that through the Aging and Disability Resource Center at the 800-432-2080 number. You can also send me an email and I'll email you an electronic copy. My at the end of the presentation, my information will be there for you. So it's a really handy tool that helps you gather all the information you're going to need if you get some counseling during open enrollment, whether you're working with one of our SHIP counselors or if you have an insurance agent or broker that you like to work with. However you're going to get assistance, or even if you're going yourself onto medicare.gov and you want to make sure you have your ducks in a row before you get into the website, you can use this beneficiary planning tool to make sure you have everything you need ready. When you call the Aging and Disability, if you do decide that you want to make an appointment with a SHIP counselor, you'll call the Aging and Disability Resource Center at this 800-432-2080 number. They'll do some pre-counseling with you so that we have all the information we need for a successful counseling session. Time is limited and it's really important. I mean, I've had too many experiences where people didn't have their information ready, and so we weren't really able to get much accomplished. So that's why we have the tool for you now. And this, it includes the basic demographic information, a list of your drugs and dosages, and it's really designed to help any counseling session, whether it's remote or in person, be as smooth and efficient as possible. And again, this is not something that is designed just to be used with us here at the SHIP program. It can be used, you can use it yourself if you're going to go into medicare.gov and do plan search on your own, or if you're going to work with whoever you've worked with in the past. And this is what it looks like. Okay, it has your place to put your name, your zip code, your county, because all of these plans are based around networks, and so the same plan is not available statewide. It really matters where you are. What your current plan coverage is, right? Do you have an HMO, a PPO? Do you have a prescription drug plan? Do you get any help with your drug costs? Do you have one of those Medicare savings programs that we talked about earlier? Do you get extra help from Social Security? You want to have all of that information ready. Okay, what's your preferred pharmacy? And then what are the medications that you take, the dosages, and how often? If you have all of this information handy, you're going to be able to just slide right through the plan search process. Okay. Are there any other questions that you have for me right now about Medicare Open Enrollment, how to prepare for it, how to get help for it? Okay. So we took a little on our field trip. I showed you how to get to the Aging and Long-Term Service Department YouTube channel. We update the information that's there. You know, I have big plans for 2023. I think I have a whole series of 5-minute how-to videos planned. So it's definitely a good thing to have in your back pocket and check on, you know, if you're wondering how to best access your benefits. And you can either go through our website, use that little button that I showed you, or you can just go to YouTube and search for New Mexico Aging and Long-Term Services Department. You can also follow us on Facebook. We're constantly, you know, adding new things, putting new information up on Facebook. We're just there under the New Mexico Aging and Long-Term Services Department. If you would like to give me some feedback, I always love feedback. You know, I just started doing this little field trip dealy in the workshops that I give a couple of months ago, and I'm really interested in feedback about that. Do you like that? Do you not like that? So I would love to hear from you. I will put this in the chat as soon as I stop sharing this presentation, and you can just then click on it. It'll take you right to the survey. And this is my contact information. Again, I'm Kris. My direct work cell phone number is 505-470-4443. During open enrollment, who knows how long it's going to take me to get back to you. I will return every call, but I can't promise it's going to be quick. If you want to make an appointment for counseling, you definitely need to call the 800-432-2080 number. You can also reach me, for example, if you want one of those, if you want me to email you a PDF of our Medicare Open Enrollment Guide, I'll be happy to do that. You can reach me. Actually, I need to update this. And our emails just changed, as I mentioned before we started the video. So my email address now is Kris, K-R-I-S, .Winterowd, W-I-N-T-E-R-O-W-D, at altsd.nm.gov. And I'll put that in the chat also. It's at altsd.nm.gov. Sorry about that. So let me put that in the chat now. Let me make sure I did that right. Sorry, I have to peer at it. And the other thing I was going to give you was the link to the survey. So let me get that up there for you. And are there any, while I'm doing that, are there any comments, questions?
Kris, I have a question.
Yeah.
I do the newsletter for Taos Elders and Neighbors Together, which is the Aging at Home group. Does your State Department interact at all with the Aging at Home groups that are all around New Mexico?
I would love to, Linda, and I'm actually heading for Taos today. Stay on after I stop the video if you can, and I would love to have like coffee with you tomorrow. I'm spending the night up there.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
How's that for?
That sounds good.
All right. Wonderful. Well, again, I'm going to go ahead and stop the video. And thank you so much for being here today. I hope that you found this helpful.
That's everyone.
All right.
Is that it?
That's the one.
Okay.
Okay. Awesome. All right.